First, I want to say Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, because Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala give me health condition until now, so I can make this YouTube channel. And I want to say thanks to Ma'am Arrangging. She is a lecturer of English Business 2 course of Batam State Polytechnic. Before I explain my report to you about English Business Letter, namely Notice and Agenda, let me introduce myself. My name is Wiansri Syahmawuli. You can call me Wian. I am from Managerial Accounting in Batam State Polytechnic. This YouTube channel is one of the requirements for graduating English Business 2 course in Batam State Polytechnic. I will present my report about one of the example of business letter, namely Notice and Agenda. I will explain about what the meaning of notice and agenda, when we were writing this letter, and how the structure or guidelines for writing the good notice and agenda, and what the function or purpose to writing this letter. I will explain all of it about notice and agenda, and in this video I will try to analyze the 3 data that I had gotten it. First data, sourced from Taylor and Guy textbook. Second data, that created by myself. Third data, sourced from a company in Batam, namely Remote Oil Field Services Company in Batam. For the continuation report's explanation of notice and agenda, let me begin. One of the requirements to make my report about notice and agenda is should get the data from company, and I chose Remote Oil Field Services to be one of my data. The reason why I chose the data from Remote Oil Field Services Company, or call it ROS Company, because ROS Company apply business letters such as notice and agenda to their company activity. ROS Company is located at Harbor Bay View Industrial Park, Kaving 3rd, Duyung Street, Batu Ampar, Batam. ROS Company provide the product and service about remote oil field such as regulating, sealant, post-spotting coating, and the storage facilities, equipment, and so on. Before I analyze my data of the report, I will explain to you about my topic. My topic is arranging appointments, meeting, and other functions. And my subtopic is notice and agenda. Business letters are very useful in maintaining good communication in the business world. In business, the letter used to establish the good cooperation and relationship to other parties. Many types of letters are often used to conduct the business activity, such as meeting, appointment, and other business activity. For example, such as letter requesting appointment, letter inviting the speaker to the conference, letter regarding conference accommodation, memo, notice, and agenda. Notice is general piece information for related parties about when and where the event will be. The required information in the notice such as date, time, and venue of the event. Notice should be appropriately be sent at least 7 days in advance before the event, so the related parties can prepare themselves to attend to the event. Agenda is the list of points or outline of the activity in the event. Usually, agenda is included with the notice. Agenda are arranged in clear and logical order, which point to be done first until the end of the activity. For writing the good notice and agenda, it should be follow the structure of the notice and agenda, such as letterhead, date of letter, inside address, salutation, title of meeting, appointment, or other activity, notification, write the agenda, detail of agenda, start from opening until ending activity of the event, and complementary clause, signature, and the last is copy of the letter. And when we writing the notice and agenda, we writing the notice and agenda when we will arrange and hold the activity. I start to analyze from the first data that sourced from Taylor and Guy textbook. I analysis the style of the letter. The first data use full block style letter because all of the components of the letter are written starting from the left side of the letter. and the paragraph written flat on the right side and left side of the letter. I analyzes the structure of the reason why I say the language of the letter on the first data is appropriate because it is contained with the information about company activity. I analyzes the punctuation of the letter. The punctuation of the letter on the first data not use a lot of punctuation in writing notice and agenda. So there are no significant errors of punctuation on the letter because it is very important in writing notice and agenda. Next, I analysis the correction on the first data. The correction on the first data is need to be added some structure such as inside address, salutation, specific time on the agenda's component, and the complementary clause. Next, I analysis the second data as you can see on your screen. Analysis from the style of the letter on the second data. The second data use full block style letter, but there is have slight error about position in writing the date of letter. It should be written on the left side of the letter. Analysis from the structure of the letter on the second data, it is almost complete, like I say about the structure of the notice and agenda before. But the second data doesn't have salutation and complementary clause of the letter. Analyzes the tone of letter on the second data, it is appropriately because it is look formal with contents about information of company activity. Analyzes the language of letter on the second data is formal, polite, and appropriate. Analyzes the punctuation of the letter on the second data, it looks appropriate and there is no have slight error about the punctuation. Correction for the second data is the position of the date of letter. It should be placed on the left side of the letter. From my analysis of the third data, that the third data use full block style letter because all of the components of the letter are written starting from the left side of the letter, and the paragraphs are written flat on the right and left side of the letter. From my analysis on the third data, based on the structure of the notice and agenda, there are letterhead, salutation, notification, writing agenda, agenda's component, complementary clause, and signature. But the third data doesn't have date of letter, inside address, title of the notice and agenda, and doesn't have copy of the letter. My analysis of the tone on the third data is appropriate tone because it is consist with the requirements for writing the good notice and agenda. From my analysis about the language of the letter, the language of the third data is formal and appropriate. But from my analysis, the third data have several errors about punctuation. As you can see on your screen, the greeting statement, it should be end with the period, and one of the list points of agenda, it should not end by the periods. Statement best regard should be end with the comma. From my analysis of the correction on the third data, that the third data must be complete the structure of the letter, and for correction, the third data must be check the error of the punctuation of the letter. Findings on the first and the second data is use full block style of the letter and still incomplete in the structure of the letter, but appropriate of the tone, language, and punctuation of the letter. Based on findings on the third data, that third data use full block style of the letter and still incomplete in the structure of the letter. But the third data is one of my data have the salutation and complementary clause of the structure of the paragraph. To sum up, after analysis all my data and get the findings, all my data have similarities of the style letter, that all of my data use full block style letter. Based on my finding all of my data, the third data that sourced from company is the only data have salutation and complementary clause for writing the notice and agenda.